What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Reddit video here on the Life Stories channel. My name is Dylan, and today we're going to be looking at some stories from the subreddit Tales from Retail. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. The online return. I used to work at a retail store that sells everything under the sun, and since very recently had a very liberal return policy. One time I took back a Fry Daddy deep fryer that was over 2 years old, very used, and with no receipts or proof of purchase from our store. But that story's for another day. Our tale begins on a Saturday, the busiest day of the week at our store, and the day that everything that can go wrong will go wrong. I was the customer service manager at the time, and got called to the front because a cashier needs help with a return. Cast: B. Me, very tired customer service manager. C1, the first cashier. M, overworked manager. IC, incompetent customer. C1: Hey B, this customer's had an online return. I can't find anything on his receipt besides his membership charge. He says, insert online retail giant here, told him to bring the return here. The incompetent customer is visibly upset and is angrily scrolling through his phone to find the email with his receipt. Customer: I told her already I've already talked to customer service and she has to do my return. Me: Okay sir, I'm very sorry for the trouble. What are we returning today and can I have your email? I can look up your online purchase with our database. Customer: It's this damn comforter set. It's supposed to be grey, but look, it's green. I can't believe online retail giant sent me the wrong colour, and you guys don't have it in store. I get the customer's email, look him up in the system, and see the only online purchase he's ever made with the company was for our membership program. No online orders from us at all. I explain this to the customer and he tells me he bought the item from an online retail giant, but when he called them to do a return, they told him to come to our store. Now, I know a certain clothing chain had started taking online retail giants returns, but we're not that store, so I asked the customer if he meant he was supposed to go to that store. Nope, he was told to come here. I asked to see the item in question, and he pulls it out of a garbage bag. Customer: See, I told you it's green, not grey. Now can you return it already so I can get a different one? Me: Sir, I'm sorry, but we have no record of you buying this from us. Let me see if we carry this item. Customer: It's a comforter, of course you carry it. I'm getting to the end of my rope with this guy. As I try and find the tag on the comforter, he's yelling at me in C1 about how stupid we are, and if we can't do a simple return, why are we even working here? At this point the manager shows up and there's a line at the front because the customer is refusing to move to the side so T1 can take other customers and is being quite loud. Manager: Hey B, what's going on? B: This customer has a return from an online retail giant that they were told to bring here. Manager: We don't fulfill for this online retail giant, sir. Are you sure you weren't told to go to the clothing store? Customer: Why are you all so stupid? I was told to come here because this is your comforter and you have to do my return. At this point I found the tag on the comforter. The brand is Online Retail Giant Basics, pretty much the online retail giant's store brand. Vindication. B: I'm sorry sir, but the tag on the comforter shows that it's from the online retail giant, not us. I cannot do a return for an item from another retailer that we do not carry. Customer: What do you mean you won't do my return? I want your manager. B: Sir, I am the customer service manager, but my manager is right here and is another manager. Manager: Sir, B is correct, we can't do this return. You need to call Online Retail Giant about your return. I wish I could say there was a better ending in it, but that was it. Customer didn't say a word, just mumbled under his breath and stalked out of the store with his hefty bag comforter. I did receive an email later that night for a customer complaint, but manager and I had already written it out in an incident report to alert the other stores in the area in case he tried doing the same thing somewhere else, so neither of us were written up for violating our store's never say no policy. And that, kids, is how I spent 30 minutes explaining to a man that I couldn't do a return on an item from another store. Well, I'm not going to lie guys, but having a never say no policy in any retail store is just going to end up with a load of unhappy customers, and I don't envy the job of the retail service assistants that have to deal with these customers every single day. Man gets mad at me for not handing him €500. I work as a cashier in a bookshop. We keep a floating €100 in the till at all times, but most people choose to pay by card, so there usually isn't much cash in the till at the end of the day. A couple of weeks ago, a man came into the shop and interrupted me whilst I was cashing out some books for another customer. He said that he worked nearby and his boss wanted him to exchange €500 because they were out of smaller notes and coins. He asked me to give him €500 from the till, and he would be back in a moment with the €500 note divided differently. Obviously, I refused. There was no way I was going to let this guy walk out with €500 because it would be on me to pay it if he stole it or lost it. Anyway, we didn't have that amount in the till. When I said absolutely not, he raised his voice and scolded me for not being helpful and tried to persuade me into helping him, and he got a little bit aggressive when I kept saying no. I'm glad there were a lot of people in the store at that moment, because otherwise I don't know if he would have escalated the situation. Well folks, that reminds me of those phishing emails you sometimes receive telling you to send money to Nigerian princes. It would probably work if you're charismatic enough, but let's be honest, it's not going to work on most people. Redesigned Front End is killing me. I work for a giant corporate retail home improvement hardware chain, and recently they decided redesigning the entire front end from returns to checkout was a great idea. Without consulting actual cashiers or customers, they removed the counters, the 3 feet of safe space between the customers and the associates who interact with them, in favour of a shoulder-to-shoulder checkout experience. Confused, upset customers abound. As you can imagine, that in itself spawned many fun stories. But my tale this morning is about the flow of our newest returns area and customers who refuse to come through the entrance. This story is repeated every day, every hour, almost every minute of the day at our new customer service desk. Our desks are called pods. Each working desk features a register that can toggle between a sales register, a returns register, order release, and special services. This means that each register and the worker behind it is expected to do everything. Sadly, the customer struggles to understand that if you're standing looking at your screen, you're actually working. So yesterday I was returning a bunch of electrical pieces for a customer. One of his switches did not have a scan tag, and we happened to be right next to the electrical, so the customer ran to go get one that I could scan. My desk is filled with more bags of his returns, so I keep scanning as he runs off to grab one. As soon as he leaves the desk, a woman walks up from the exit behind me on her phone, and I hear, "Well then I'll find another bank, goodbye," and she hangs up. I'm not trying to look at her because I'm clearly working. I head motion to the few people who are standing waiting in line as she pushes closer to the edge of my desk. Pointing to the line, I say, "Mum, the line for service starts right here." As I say this, the guy gets back with his switch and hands it to me. To my shock, the lady says, "Excuse me, but I was here first," to the guy. Now, normally I'm a very patient person, but this new layout has me working on my last nerve. I calmly but firmly look her directly in the eye and say, "Mum, I told you the line for service starts right here. There are people ahead of you. I was working with this gentleman before you walked right up to my desk from the exit. The entrance starts right there." Her. "No, I was here first. I hung up on a very important call. Had I known that, I would not have hung up. Now I have to call them back." Me. "Mom, I suggest you call her back whilst you're waiting in line. I will get back to you as soon as I can." Meanwhile, I'm scanning returns the entire time. Her. "What is your name?" The poor guy is just standing there and looking totally confused, and I can see he's starting to feel protective of me, which happens a lot in retail when rude people attack service workers. He doesn't miss a beat and says to the lady, "Her name is right here." I guess that explains why you couldn't read the exit sign either. At this, she storms out of the entrance, pushing back through the people waiting whilst getting back on her phone. I'm not sure if she was calling the bank, she hung up on, or my manager, but I don't care either way. I love customers that stick up for workers. Honestly, when I see that, it makes my day. And I reckon they should get free drinks every single bloomin' time. Crazy lady tries to steal an Xbox before the store opens. I work as a warehouse stocks person in an electronics store. Basically, I go around to every shelf in the department and make sure that products are in the place they should be. It's a pretty easy gig, especially as I clock in and clock out before the store even opens, so I never interact with customers. Until today. It was a pretty typical morning of checking off shelf products when I heard someone loudly banging on the locked front doors. I could hear it all the way from the back of the store where I was wrapping a security tag onto an Xbox One X, important for later. While carrying the Xbox, I walk in view of the doors and see a 30-something-year-old woman banging her fist on the glass. I saw that she was wearing a jacket with the company colour on, so I assumed she was a co-worker. She stopped banging when she saw me and waved hello. Remember, I only work before the opening shifts, so I never interact with customers, but I also don't know any of my other co-workers who do not work during store hours. I thought to myself, oh, she must be one of the sales reps, because they often come in 30 minutes early if they have an opening shift, and it was about 40 minutes until opening, so it didn't raise any alarms for me. I walk up to the front doors and there are two sets of them with a vestibule in between them. The first set opens up to the outside and lets you get into the vestibule, and the second set opens the vestibule and lets you get into the store. The lady is standing outside. I take the Xbox I was holding and place it on a register counter nearest the door. I unlock the second set of doors and set up to the first set and begin pushing it open when the lady shoves her body through the opening of the doors. I guess waiting 2 whole seconds for me to finish opening the door was too much for her. She is already past the second set of doors and walking into the store when I finish closing and locking both sets. She wasn't walking to a register to clock in, she wasn't directly walking to any department. All she did was quickly look around the store before turning back to me and saying, "Where's your game section? I'm looking for a Switch." My heart dropped. She was a customer that I let into the store before opening. Big no-no. I started to internally panic a little, but thought to myself, all I need to do is get her out of the store. Me. "I'm sorry mum, but we don't open for another 40 minutes. I thought you were one of my co-workers when I let you in." The crazy lady rolls her eyes and says, "The website says that you open at 8 AM and it's 8:20. Me. "Our website says 9 AM. I'm telling you 9 AM, you need to leave." Crazy lady. "I only need to buy a Switch, which I'll be 10 minutes. She begins to walk further into the store when I stand in her path. Me. "You can buy whatever you want at 9 AM, but right now you need to leave." The lady's getting pissed and says, "I want to talk to your manager right now." Now, I was the only one working in the warehouse that morning. We're really understaffed, but there was a supervisor in the back office doing paperwork. The supervisor is a very understanding dude, and so I knew he wouldn't get mad at me for letting this crazy lady in by mistake, but I made the idiot decision to deal with this myself. Me. "I am the only one here, so leave." This is a good time to tell you that I'm a 5'3", 110-pound female who looks like a 15-year-old when I'm really in my 20s. I do not look intimidating in any way. The crazy lady got this smirk on her face and said, "Fine, I'll go." And when she started to walk to the doors, I think that was the end of it. Until she grabs the Xbox off the counter and tries to unlock the doors. I rushed to her and began to tug at the Xbox whilst yelling to let go, I'll call the police. The Xbox was wrapped in a security tag, so the whole time this tug of war was happening, the door alarms are blaring because of the tag. My supervisor hears the alarm and comes out of the back office to find me wrestling with this bloomin' crazy Karen. He comes over to help, but not before the crazy lady punched me hard in the stomach. I let go of the Xbox to hold my stomach, but she still doesn't have the door unlocked. I ended up puking on her and the Xbox because she punched me so hard. She drops the Xbox and goes to hit me again, but I saw this one coming and mustered up all my strength and rage to kick her squarely in the chest. I might not look strong, but I can damn be when needed. But I only had the strength for that one kick and I rolled back into a ball and agonised over the pain afterwards. My supervisor called the police whilst the woman whined in pain and was still trying to unlock the door. Guess she didn't realise that keys are used to open the doors. Well, $20 says that the person that's telling this story will get in trouble for kicking her, and $40 says that the customer/thief called corporate from the jail to complain. Little old lady loses her mind. Me, your total will be 99p. Her, hands over a £20 note. Me, oh, I'm sorry, do you have anything smaller? We don't have any change at the moment, it's the beginning of the day. Her, no. Me, oh, well, could you use your card instead? As I say, we have no change, not even £5 notes. Her, no, is this going to take long? I'm parked outside. Me, okay, hands her the change in a mix of pound coins, 50p's, 20p's and even some 10s. Her, what on earth is all this? Me, your change, I did try and explain. Her, this is nonsense, drops coins everywhere. I'm not accepting this. Me, well okay, I'm gonna have to take your item back. Her, but I paid for it. Me, if you want your money back, no you didn't. Her, what kind of shop is this? I'll be complaining to your head office. Me, if you leave without paying, I'll have to call the police. Her, throws the item at me. This is what I think of this nonsense. Me, permits myself a small sigh. Well folks, that's it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like rating down below, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.